Hello and welcome back. This is video 3 and we're actually in chapter 4 section 3 for your notes, and that is on page 6 on the papers in front of you, hopefully. And what we're doing here is we're applying some of the things we learned earlier in the year of solving equations. So here's what we've learned up to this point. When we're solving an equation, we're trying to isolate the x. We identify what's happening to it, and we do the opposite. So since x is having this value added to it, what we're going to do to both sides is subtract that value right there. (7,9). I wrote it wrong over there. Sorry about that. And you would subtract these. Use your calculator for this. So you grab that, you put in that number, and I believe you come out with 8 and 1,447 10,000 right there. So you can double check my math with your calculator, and hopefully that worked out okay. Number 2, same thing basically. What's happening to the x is being added to, so we are going to subtract the value that's being added. You're going to subtract 120. Now if I were doing this without my calculator, notice how I lined up the place values right there, and how I lined up the decimal. And now we would subtract that value, and I believe it's 4,260 and 6/10 right there for you. So hopefully that made sense to you, because it really is a review of something we've already done. And that's how they start us off in chapter 4, section 3. The next slide is kind of a strange one here. We're going to do multiplication problems like this with our calculator. That's fine. But should you have to actually multiply it out, okay, I went ahead and did it for you here. You'd this times this, this times this, and you'd go all the way down, and you come back and do this one. You'd have the two lines, and you'd add them up. Well, let's say you did it and you came out with this value. The question now is, how do you know where to put the decimal? Simply put, you count up the number of spaces. I'm going to click off this real quick. Count up the number of spaces that are to the right of the decimal. And I'm actually talking about combined. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what you would do then is count, starting from right here, you would count 7 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 is right here, so the decimal would go right there. But again, we're going to do that with the calculator. Well, this page is showing you the patterns that are created when you multiply by basically these values, like a tenth, a hundredth, and a thousandth. If I were to multiply this number times that, so it'd be like doing this question right here. You multiply that out, you would get, basically, the decimal would move one place over here. You would get 1.4605. And I had it come up on the screen there. If I multiplied the same number, let's go back to the 14.605. Let's say this time I multiplied it by here, the decimal would go 2 places to the left, and you would have that value. Okay, so this one, the decimal moved 1 place to the left. This one, it moved 2 places. So you probably are seeing that this one is going to move 3 places, and the last one is going to move 4. So this is valuable for us because of some things that we can do later if we start to identify the patterns of when you multiply times these values or by powers of 10 as well, which we'll do here. Looking at the same idea here, if I take this number times that, right, that decimal is going to move this way, 1. And you're going to get this. But if I take this number times this one, this time the decimal is going to go 2 places to the right. Okay, it went one place, two place. It went the number of zeros. So the next one's going to go 3 places, and the next one's going to go 4 places. Notice on that one I had to fill in a 0 filler space there, so I could get that 5 in the correct place value. Okay, which was really its only purpose of us putting it in there. Page 8 is where we are, and now if we move down to the bottom, you like that? If you're doing division, use a calculator if possible. If you had to do long division without, this is what you would do. The number outside the division sign, that number cannot be a decimal. So we would have to actually multiply that number times 10 to move the decimal. And if we did that, we would actually need to multiply the inside number times 10 as well. And the reason I went times 10 is because I knew that would move it one place. Okay, so I don't want to do 100. I don't want to make that into 860. Now, once you have that, now you would do your division, and then this decimal, when you're all done, comes up to this place right there. But again, we would be doing that on our calculator, hopefully, and making our life a lot easier. Okay, order of operations in 4-4. Basically, the scientific calculator will do it for you if you input it exactly like the question, but it will always apply the same rules of PEMDAS that we started in Chapter 1. All right, well, earlier we did some converting fractions where the denominator was 100 or 1,000 or a power of 10. Well, now let's look at what to do when it's not. Okay, here's the deal. That means divide. So if you're not sure, you would take the top number, get the division symbol, divided by 5, and that would give you, in this case, 6/10. If you did the same thing for the next two, these are the values you should have come out right here. Just use your calculator for that, and we won't get too worked up about it for you. So that wraps up Chapter 9. And let's do a couple more slides and then we will be done. The first one here is, oh yeah, I meant to tell you that that's just a division problem there that you were working on. But if you get something where you have a repeating decimal, there is a certain way to do that notation. So if you're sitting there at home watching this, grab your calculator and take 5 divided by 6. That's division sign right there. And you get that kind of number right there. So here's what we do in math. If we see something that repeats, we want to identify the repeating part, which is basically 3's. We want to cut the repeating off, and over one repeating, we put a line. This line, I don't like the way it's written. I should have moved that. I just noticed it. The line should only be over the 3. Not the 8. There. Okay, if I did this, I'll just show you. If you did this, what that really means is 0.8383. 8. The 8 is repeating if you did that, but the 8 is not repeating in our answer. Okay, but let's look at one that does that. See the repeating right here, the 36, 36. Okay, so you put the line over the top right there. And then the last one, I tried to give you a really tricky one, but it actually repeats like that. As you can see, the 714 starting again. So we would put, that line should be over the 7 as well, 714285. And it just keeps repeating that way for you. Okay, so I'm hitting the 10-minute mark. In the next video, we will hit section 4.5, and we got some applications, so that might move a little bit slower, but the good news is we're almost done with chapter 4. Pretty cool, huh? Talk to you soon.